Alright, so this is a review of the Adidas Crazy Light Boost 2016. Okay, had some time to get some run in these, had a chance to play in them, so just wanted to do a review and get some information out there for those of you who are possibly interested in this shoe. I'm going to go over some design elements first, and then I'll go over a quick summary, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a long video. I'll go over a quick summary for those of you who don't want to watch the whole thing, and I don't blame you. And then I will go into more detail about specific aspects of the performance of the shoe. So, starting with the weight, because the name is the Crazy Light Boost, and it's the third in a series of Crazy Light Boost shoes, which actually built upon a regular line of Crazy Light shoes that didn't feature boost cushioning. 2014 was the first iteration, and then 15 was last year with the prime knit uppers, and then this is the 16. So they broke a lot of ground with the initial models, the ones that were just regular foam cushioning. Something like under 12 ounces or something like that. I can't remember for sure, but it was like a first, and it was really, crazy light. They were just really, really light shoes, which is kind of a trade-off. So it's not always the best thing, a good thing to just focus on cutting weight and making a shoe really light, because then you might sacrifice things like support and containment and durability and so on. So it's kind of a trade-off, right? So, but this particular model is far from crazy. There's nothing crazy light about them. Let's just be honest. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but somebody out there, I'm sure there are measurements for weight. It's definitely not a heavy shoe, so don't get me wrong. It's not heavy by any means. It's not like a boot, or it's not going to weigh you down. But it's also not a really minimalistic, lightweight shoe that's just, really thin or light on your feet. So I think that a more appropriate name might just be Crazy Boost, but that's what they call them. So, but I don't think they're really crazy light anymore. But again, they're not really heavy. So, so that kind of covers the weight there. I just wanted to get that out of the way. We'll go ahead and start from the bottom and work our way up here. So the outsole, it's basically a modified herringbone. And this really, when I hear bone, like, it really reminds me of that. It's kind of like a skeletal pattern in some ways. So Adidas, on their website though, they just basically call it like a herringbone style traction. So these ridges aren't really sharp, but they grip the floor really well. I'll get into the performance later, but that's basically what we're looking at for the outsole, is just this modified herringbone. And there are some grooves running the length of the shoe that help with lateral movements. Big old TPU shank. They call it I believe they call it a speed plate. No, a sprint plate. I'm sorry. They call it a sprint plate. It's basically a plastic shank in there, right, for torsion in the bottom. One thing to note though, anything you see that's red here is really firm rubber, and it's all Continental rubber, right? Made by Continental. The red parts here are really firm to the touch, and then some of the blue parts, especially right here, you can kind of push in a little bit more. You can't really see it, but if you have them in hand, it's one thing that you can notice. It's just easier to push in here for some reason, probably because of the boost. And then an interesting thing to note is from the profile, right? If you look at it from the side, a lot of this blue part right here is actually really soft. And everything you can see from the side of the shoe, the blue parts are actually pretty soft. So I'm assuming it's just a thin layer of rubber that they use to cover the boost portions at the midsole. So again, bottom is relatively firm overall, but then here, and then you got your little what do they call this? The roll cage, the TPU roll cage. That's also very, very soft. We'll talk about that in a second. So all these blue parts from the side are soft. So it's kind of an interesting thing to note that you can't really see, you can't really tell just by looking at pictures online, but if you have a chance to examine these in hand, it's something that you'll notice about the shoe. So that kind of covers the outsole. And let's go on to the midsole. So obviously the most prominent feature of the shoe is that full-length boost. We have a lot of volume in the heel, and then kind of thins out, and less volume in the forefoot. It's contained on the lateral side of the forefoot with this roll cage, right, TPU, which is, it's actually really, really soft, like I was saying, which is a good thing in my opinion. I'm a bit wary of playing in shoes that have really hard, firm roll cages or clips right here, like the 28 and the 23 back then. The 29 was fine for me, but other shoes, they have clips here, carbon clips or something, that really, really irritate me over time. But this is actually really, really soft. So And then the boost is exposed throughout the rest of the shoe, except for that lateral portion right there, right? So pretty straightforward. And moving on to the upper, we have basically jacquard. There are going to be prime knit versions, as far as I know. Jacquard is, again, becoming more and more popular in terms of being used, applied to sneakers and performance shoes, both casual and performance shoes. So it was named after the guy who, it was the name of the region he lived in, I believe. That's what I remember from Wikipedia. But it's been around for a long time. They use it for, if you think about like drapes and curtains and like the fabric that covers like a nice sofa or a couch or something like that, a lot of times it'll be made from jacquard as well. So basically your full-length jacquard upper, right? There is a TPU heel counter that's asymmetrical, right? You got the stripes running diagonally there, as well as your TPU eye stays right there. So you have those on both sides, those TPU eye stays. There are only 4 eyelets. That is one thing to note about the shoe, okay? It's unusual for a low top and a mid, and if you look at the Crazy Explosive, I believe they have 4 eyelets as well. So it is a little bit unusual to only see 4, even though there are like 2 separate lace loops here. They're so close together, I just count that as 1 eyelet, so only 4 eyelets there, 2, 3, 4, right? So that kind of covers the upper. You do have the tongue is basically a partial length booty, which runs basically from right here, right there, to throughout the length of the shoe from that point forward. So it is made of mesh. It looks like Tech Fit to me. It looks very similar to what they used in the Lillard 1, but there's no indication of Tech Fit on the shoe or on the website. So maybe it's not. Usually they're pretty good about marketing their technology, but it looks very similar to what was used in the Lillard 1. So you have a lot of perforations, but it's a little bit thicker and more dense than the tongues in the Lillard 1 as well as the 2015. So again, partial length booty. Then you have this little neoprene tab, which is basically there for aesthetics, if you ask me. I don't think it serves any functional purpose in terms of like how it feels in your foot or comfort or anything like that. It's just there. Personally, I think it's just to balance out the look here. So you got the blue tongue and the blue tab right there, just to balance out the aesthetics. But I actually think it looks pretty good. Even if you didn't have that, it still looks pretty good to me. But it is what it is. So that kind of covers the design there, the design elements. If you're interested in the insoles, which I'm not, but some people out there really like these details. This is the left shoe and the right shoe, right? So the right shoe, nice gradient effect, I guess, speed of light. And since I don't care about the insoles, I didn't bother looking up what this means. Meters per second, miles per second, I have no idea. I don't really care. But some people out there might be interested in the details, and if you want to, post what that's about, I'm sure somebody out there knows, and I'd appreciate that. But me, I never really cared about insole designs because you're not going to see them, so your foot is on top of it. So yeah, that kind of covers the design elements. Now I want to go into the actual performance. So just a quick summary, if you don't want to, watch the whole video, and again, I don't blame you. If the shoe fits with you, if it works well with your foot, right? If you can get dialed in, you're gonna enjoy it a lot. It's a really good shoe. It's a great overall performer with no real downsides to it. Great traction, really responsive, comfortable, good transition. Just a really great performance shoe overall. If they fit you well, if they work with your foot, okay? So that's going to be like the key issue. So let's go ahead and get into the details, and we'll start with fit and sizing. So me personally, recently, my Adidas size, the size that I get in Adidas basketball for recent shoes, seems to be 0.5 smaller than what I get in typical other brands, Nike, basketball, and runners and stuff like that. So just for reference, I'll throw some numbers out there for different shoes, like the 29, Kobe 10, Kobe 8, Kobe 9, Under Armour Curry 2, Clutch Fit Drive 1, Clutch Fit Drive 2, and the Spawn, all size 10 in those shoes. And then the Adidas Lillard 1 and Lillard 2, the Rose 6, and now these, 9.5. So it kind of gives you an idea of the sizing. And I also wear 9.5 in the brand black J Crossover 2 and the Curry 1. So that's kind of some, hopefully that will help you with some reference if you don't have a chance to try them on, you're just going to buy them online. To me, that's how it's been recently, is Adidas basketball, I'm going 0.5 down compared to what I normally get in other brands and their basketball shoes and runners and stuff like that. So that's what I did. So in terms of the fit, I personally think they run larger than other shoes, but that's going to be different for everybody. What I do, I read something nice, a good tip online, is before lacing them up, you know, put your foot in there and then slide your heel, kind of jam it back into the heel counter and then lace them up, which is actually, you know, actually helps a little bit. I did experience some initial heel slip, more so in the left shoe than the right for some reason. There was a little bit in both, but more noticeable on the left. That went away after breaking them in. I also wear an ankle wrap on my left foot. It's not really like a sleeve, and it's not really a full-on brace. It's kind of in between, but it's thicker than a regular, just a normal sleeve. So that helped to fill out the shoe, and the heel slip's gone after that. And in the right shoe, it's gone as well. So there's no heel slip for me at all. Heel slip is really, a lot of people are talking about it online, but to me, it's just one of the furthest things from my mind when I'm playing the shoe. I don't worry about it at all. It's not an issue, but that's just my individual experience. So I can't speak for, you know, how that's going to affect other people. So again, after breaking them in, and depending on whether you wear like sleeves or wraps or ankle braces, that's going to affect how they fit as well overall. But again, fit for me is you know, perfectly fine. I think they're locked down. Is really good. One thing though is I do have to lace them very tight. Okay, so that's something that I noticed similar to the Lillard one, and I have to say I think it's kind of inexcusable at this point, because that was a major complaint of the Lillard one, was that a lot of people were getting heel slip, and they seem to fix it with the Lillard 2 and no issues in the Rose line. So I have to say I think it's kind of unacceptable at this point, because, you know, it's not something that should be a reoccurring issue, but it seems to be something that's affecting some people with this particular model. So again, not me, but I do have to lace them very tight though. So that's another thing, is I have to lace these as tight as possible pretty much. You would think that's true for every shoe, but not really. Like some shoes, if I tie them too tight, my foot will get numb, and I can actually loosen them a little bit and still be really, really comfortable playing and secure. Not this shoe. This shoe I have to lace really, really tight. My feet don't go numb or anything like that. It just helps with the lockdown. And there is some lace pressure there, but it's nothing that's like unbearable. And I play in 2-hour sessions, so it's not really a problem for me. Okay, so hopefully that covers some of the issues or some of the questions out there for fit and sizing. One thing to note is, again, there are only 4 eyelets, right? So to me, sizing and fit is really dependent on how this shoe works for you without even lacing them up. The tying the laces here is going to make a minor difference in terms of the fit at the forefoot, but not too much. To me, it's slightly noticeable. Tying this area really tight, it does make a slight difference here, but not too much. So if this area is not working for you very well upon initial try-on, I'm not sure how that's going to affect you even after you break them in and play in them for a while. So that's one thing to consider as well. Okay, moving on to the comfort. It is a very comfortable shoe overall. Again, it's a jacquard upper, so one of the nice things about jacquard is it's actually very supportive, very good job of containing your foot, you know, for different movements. It's also very comfortable at the same time. So it's not quite as minimal, obviously not as many perforations and holes as, say, like a knit material, prime knit, fly knit, and so on. But at the same time, it's not going to stretch as much, and it might do, I think it does do a better job of providing support and containment for your foot overall. So that's one of the benefits. But again, the downside would be it's heavier and thicker and not quite as minimalistic as knit. So, but overall, just a very comfortable shoe to play in. No pinching, no hot spots. There's no weird creasing or pressure points or anything like that in terms of the shoe. So again, you have that partial length booty running the length of the shoe. So very, very comfortable overall. Traction is one of the, you know, another positive thing. Me personally, I'm only going to say positive things because I just had a really good experience playing in these, and I can't really think of anything bad. So traction is really, really, it's excellent in all directions, okay, for all types of movements, whether you're using a lot of force and power or not. It's just really, really dependable. And I play on a clean court though, and all the shoes I play in there pretty much have good traction, so I'm not sure, you know, where you guys play and how the surfaces will be. But for my experience, it's actually really, really good traction, and I'm just really confident knowing that the traction is going to be there for me. So it makes a big difference when you're running down court and you know, when you can have full confidence in the shoe and the traction. So just a really, really excellent design and for that outsole there. Okay, and then in terms of the cushioning, obviously we're talking about, you know, full length Boost. So it's very responsive. If you haven't tried Boost, whether for casual use or for running or basketball, and you need a new shoe for those purposes, I would strongly recommend that you give Boost a shot just to see if you like it or not, okay? It's really hard to explain, but once you wear them and try them on, chances are you'll understand. You'll say, oh, this is why everybody likes Boost. So it's one of my favorite cushionings, favorite foam cushionings and cushioning systems in general, right up there with large volume Zoom Air and Micro G and Jetlon. So yeah, the cushioning is really, really responsive. Relatively low to the ground. Again, it is thinner at the forefoot, and the forefoot is slightly firmer than the heel, so there is more volume of Boost here in the heel than in the forefoot, and also you have the containment on this side. But be careful in interpreting that statement. So even though I say it's firmer, it doesn't mean that it's firm, okay? It just means it's a little bit firmer than here. It's definitely not hard by any means. Some people might not like it, but I really enjoy it. It's just a really nice cushioning for me, me personally. So it's, you know, gives you good feedback from the court. It's very responsive overall. I personally like the cushioning a lot. That's just my opinion on that. So the court feels relatively low to the ground. It's pretty good. I think one of the strengths of the shoe also is that it feels very natural underfoot. So again, the design of the midsole and the outsole there, get a nice wide base, kind of rounded areas, these vertical grooves, and then that Boost cushioning with the hollowed out section here a little bit. Just a really natural feel underfoot, regardless of the direction you're going in. You're just going, you know, linear, straight lines, sprinting all out, backpedaling, lateral movements, cutting, you know, spin moves. Just really feels very, very natural underfoot for me personally, which means the transition is also very, very smooth underfoot, and I enjoy the transition of this shoe a lot. So I think that covers all the aspects of performance that I wanted to talk about. I might do a head-to-head with the 2015 if somebody, you know, if you guys care about that. Overall, I think it's a much better shoe than 2015. Obviously, the full-length Boost being a big part of that. So I could do a head-to-head later if people are interested in that. So yeah, any questions, comments, suggestions, feedback, again, leave it in the comment section below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.